So you're listening to Packers Blitz with my co-host Andy, the premier Packers podcast done by two diehard Packer fans who survived Packer football of the 80s and live to talk about it. Packers Blitz, we're always dedicated to the greatest fans in the world, Packer fans. So, Andy, how you doing?
Doing great. Doing awesome. Welcome again, Packers Nation, to Packers Blitz. John, Packers Nation, there are only 3 days now until Christmas, and a Packers game is on the horizon on Christmas Day at noon. Lots of NFL games coming up tonight. That's Thursday night.
Yeah.
Saturday, Sunday. There's lots of games on Saturday.
Love
There's
it.
only, I think, like 3 on Sunday. And then
Love
Monday evening, of course, we got some Packer games coming up. And John, it's a winter wonderland in Wisconsin. Lots of white, fluffy snow for everyone to enjoy for the holidays.
And we're freezing our butt off too. So there you go.
That too.
So we have a lot to catch up on here. Before I get into Andy's news and everything like that, I just want to say something that really shocked me the other day. I was kind of looking around on Twitter. Yes, why are you still on Twitter? It's because, hey, I do like quick news and quick facts, and sometimes they have that. So anyway, so one thing I found was the class 2022 class that we just drafted, Goody just drafted, has been by far his best class. And so I didn't know this, Andy. I don't know if you knew this. And Packer fans, again, we were thinking this class is, it's okay. Again, it's Goody. He gets like one or two guys, right? But no, in this class, he crushed it. So Quay Walker is leading all linebackers, in tackles. So rookie linebackers, and he's also leading the Packers in tackles. So I think that's amazing. Christian Watson is really, come of his own, and we've talked about that on previous episodes. Romeo Doubs, now he's back in there in the Ram game. He looked pretty good, made some nice catches. Offensive lineman Zach Tom has been graded by Pro Football Focus. And if you're a big football fan, Pro Football Focus, as you know, is they grade players throughout the season, throughout the games, and they do a great job of it. And they basically tell you who's doing well, who's not doing well. And then last but not least, this guy we got in the 7th round, and I'm going to butcher his last name. He's outside linebacker. We got South Carolina, I think in the 6th round, Kingsley Inagumbre. So I'm sorry, Kingsley, I butchered the name. He had 2 sacks already, numbered tackles for a loss. And this, like I said, by far, Andy, has been one of the best draft classes we have had in years. So I don't know if you knew that, Andy, but just kind of a fun fact I wanted to start out with the show, saying that, hey, maybe the future isn't as bad as people say it.
You're absolutely right, John. That's awesome. It's a lot better than the draft class that Jordan Love was in, that's for sure. So I'm glad we crushed it for this one.
Yeah, we crushed it for this one. So, Andy,
Christian Watson, tearing it up. He's just absolutely tearing it up. I got some, little facts sprinkled in there for him coming up soon.
Yeah.
In our podcast, but he's been absolutely tearing it up. So Dobbs running the right routes helps. Christian on the second or third to last play of the game would have scored a touchdown if he would have ran the right route.
Around,
so he caught the ball, got tackled before the end zone, but I mean, he's a talent. I mean, he makes plays. So
he does.
I'm not going to complain about what he's been doing. You can't really do that for a rookie. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, so I wanted to start out fairly positive. The Packer fans know that we have some good players here, some good young players, and I didn't bring up guys like Devontae Wyatt, the other first rounder we got, he's had kind of an up and down season, but when he's focused, and he made a really good play in Monday night's game, just blew through 2 tackles and just busted up a play. And so I think he has a really great potential too. So that's the good news. The other good news is Green Bay, really, I couldn't believe this, but yes, our playoff hopes are still alive. So Andy, you want to kind of give us a little news on that?
Yes, they are. That's the absolute number one news. Yes, our playoff hopes are still alive, and there is a lot to get caught up on. So I'm going to get to some of those things. So
Yeah,
Packers
let's get to it.
defeated the LA Rams on Monday Night Football 24-12. Yep, I believe so. And with
That's
that
correct.
win against the Rams, the Packers' odds of making the NFC playoffs improved from 6% to 9%, which is pretty awesome, John. 9% now.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then according to the New York Times, if the Packers win out, they will have a 65% chance of making the postseason. Did everybody hear that? John,
65.
Packers Nation,
I love it.
65% chance of making the postseason. That's according to the New
Nice.
York Times. Now, if that little tidbit is true, this is for my uncle Greg in Chicago and a Bears fan. So for some reason, after growing up in Wisconsin, he's a Bears fan. So just to let him know again, a 65% chance. Yes. So yesterday when I talked to him, I couldn't remember the exact percentage. I knew it was over 60%, and he just looked at me like I was just, blowing smoke or whatever. You're just a Packers fan, whatever. But Packers fans, we are still in this. We are still in this thing. So that's pretty awesome. So some sad news. Aaron Rodgers' insane streak came to an end. Aaron Rodgers threw his 10th interception in Monday's game. Ryan Wood from USA Today said that it's the first time since 2010 that Aaron Rodgers had thrown double-digit picks. For the last 11 years, for the past 11 years, he has never reached a double-digit number of interceptions. In fact, he has actually only thrown 61 picks in 11 years, and that just increased up to 62 with the game. But this is, so I think as of, it's either 61 or 62, but whatever. In 11 years, only 61 picks, 62 picks. That's pretty good.
Brett Favre threw that in a season.
Yeah, he had some pretty high numbers of interceptions some years, didn't he? He was up in the 20s for sure. So, so Aaron Rodgers takes care of the football. He doesn't make mistakes, and that is why he's our starting quarterback, John.
Exactly.
I'm just saying that's why. And so some other good news, another Aaron milestone, this time by Aaron Jones. The Packers running back Aaron Jones cracked the top 3 on the all-time Packers list for most career rushing yards in a Packers uniform. So that's pretty awesome. Great job.
Yeah.
The 28-year-old is only one of 4 players ever to have rushed for at least 5,000 yards in a Green Bay Packers uniform. That's Amon Green, Jim Taylor, Aaron Jones now, and John Brockington. He still has a long way to go to pass either Green. Amon Green has 8,322 rushing yards, or Jim Taylor. Jim Taylor has 8,207 rushing yards. So congratulations again to Aaron Jones, and hopefully we'll see him again in a Packers uniform next year.
I hope so.
Hopefully not a cap casualty, John.
Yeah, hopefully not. And hopefully, like I said, the Bears have over $100 million in cap room next year. He'd be a good fit. He'd be a good fit for the Bears, and I'm sure the Bears are looking at that thinking, hey, we can steal him. Let's steal him. So hopefully
they tend to do that a lot, John, don't they?
Yeah, they do.
It happens a lot.
So we'll see how that goes. Maybe we can work something out. So let's do game review. And so this game is exactly what I thought it would be. Bad. Uh, but we did good things, right? Even though this is a bad team, the Rams, without their stars, without Cooper Kupp, without Aaron Donald, without a bunch of offensive line guys, we really held up, and our defense played out of this world. And really, as we know, Andy, good teams should beat bad teams, right? We have to do that. So again, saw some nice things from the defense. So that stupid, I don't know if it was Russell Douglas, whatever, flipping
Russell.
it back. That was insane to me. Like, come on, I don't know what you're thinking. And I think other than that, a couple mistakes here and there, I loved our defense. Now our offense did pretty well. It's still a pretty good defense over there with the Rams. I mean, they still have some nice players. However, missing the wide open receivers again with Aaron Rodgers, I don't know what to tell you on that. Why he's still having those issues at this point in the season, to me, is a little bit ridiculous. They should really try to fix that. And Aaron Rodgers said after the game, "Hey, run the right route and you get the ball." Well, why don't you throw the ball correctly and know where the route is going? Maybe that would work well too. So again, my review is very simple. It's a bad team. They played although the Rams played really tough, and they had a number of injuries coming in, and really, Baker Mayfield, come on. This is the guy that was the number one pick of overall, just 4 years ago, whatever it was. And now he's lucky to have a job. So again, congratulations for the Packers winning. I'm going to here give it over to Andy and kind of get some of his stats and some of his feelings about the game.
Yep, thanks, John. So before the game on Monday, according to Bill Huber, and we've quoted him a little bit here and there, he's from SI.com. He had said several things just before the game. He said, basically, there has been a real measurable progress to bolster the team's long shot playoff hopes. We already know that. The Packers are a work in progress offense, and it's finally showing progress. So over the last 4 games, the Packers are 6th in the league with 109 points. Christian Watson, who scored 8 touchdowns during those 4 games, is the obvious starting point. His 48 points are almost as many as the Saints, who have scored 53 points scored during that same span. So the last 4 games, Christian Watson scored about as many points as the Saints have. So thank you, Bill Huber, for that. So some other tidbits before the game on Monday. Even with David Bakhtiari out, the rest of the offensive line has been together for a 6th consecutive game, which then became a 7th consecutive game. Players have made plays rather than missed opportunities in the last 4 games. Third down conversion rate is hovering around 50%. Only 8 offensive penalties, only 7 drops versus 9 in back-to-back losses to the Jets and the Commanders. So in several games before that, they only had 7 drops, and then they had 9 in those back-to-back losses to the Jets and Commanders. So great improvement on the offensive side of the ball. And the last there's a couple more tidbits. They didn't have any fumbles the last 3 games before Monday night. And then Matt LaFleur said it best. I think everybody's kind of picked up their game. So that was before the game. And again, according to Matt LaFleur, I think everybody's kind of picked up their game. That's exactly what happened. So after the game, we showed up basically, and the three things stood out to me. we had 27 first downs, and the Rams only had 13. We had 345 total yards for the Packers and only 156 total yards for the Rams. That's
Wow.
domination right there.
Yeah, it's
And
domination
then
right
the
there.
time of possession is the last thing.
Mm,
We had 37 minutes on the time of possession for the Pack and only 23 minutes time of possession for the Rams. So the Packers streak of no fumbles though ended at 3 games. We didn't get to the 4th game with that. We had 1 interception and 1 fumble loss. That was the only bad thing I could think of. The only really negative thing. You know, we won the game 24-12. So the only bad thing is we had some turnovers. I think we had 2
yeah.
turnovers and they only had 1. So that's the only thing I could come up with all the stats.
Right.
So
Yeah, and
So what do you think,
yeah,
John?
well, I just think that the main thing is someone said it. You probably read this too, Andy. Is they were not watching the offensive film together. Like, so most the way they work it in most organizations is the quarterback's room, the receivers room, the offensive line, a running backs room, and they all kind of get together. And like I'm watching on HBO Max the Arizona Cardinals in-game season, what documentary, whatever you want to call it. And they get together in each individual rooms and they go through, okay, we're doing this, we're doing that, and then they get together and they say, okay, running backs is doing this, receivers doing this, offensive line. What they said was, and it's funny that Matt LaFleur kind of went like, yeah, we're doing it. Like he half-heartedly admitted it, that he finally got the receivers and Aaron Rodgers in the quarterback's room and said, okay, like, what do we do and what's going on? And let's look at the routes and so on and so forth. And everybody it wasn't really that big of a deal. Some people made it a big deal. But what made me say that, wow, okay, this is maybe what it changed is I think if you have young players in a room who can go, hey, Aaron, when I run this crossing route, do you want me to run it flat or do you want me to run it high or do you want me to run it right? Aaron Rodgers can go, okay, do this, this, and this. And then right? You don't have to be sitting there going, I'm in the game. Oh, do I run it flat? Do I run it high? Do I run it low? Do I run it in the middle? Do I run it off to the, you can say, hey, Aaron Rodgers wants me to be at point A, right here. That's what I'm doing. So that way you can come back. And I think it was just really interesting. I saw with the Packers that they were doing that. And I think with the defense, we're just, we have games like this, right, Andy, that we're just kind of just dialed in and we play really well. And then all of a sudden we're like, what are we doing? Like, why are we playing 10 yards off a third string receiver? Like, that is insane to me. Like, no, man up. This guy is not going to beat you. And if he does beat you, I mean, come on. So I really saw some good things with that. That was kind of my observation during the week. They made some subtle changes, which that's what you need to do in order to get people on the same page. So anything else, Andy, you wanted to add to that?
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because I couldn't believe I was hearing that. I couldn't believe that they weren't
Yeah, it's kind of weird,
in the
right?
same room, especially you got one young wide receivers.
Mm-hmm.
You need to know what their thoughts are, what their
Yeah,
football acumen
right.
is, bounce ideas off one another,
Yeah, exactly.
and have an open forum to discuss maybe there's a play or a route that the wide
Yeah,
receivers, would like to do.
yeah.
And maybe you should have LaFleur there, and maybe you should have
Mm-hmm.
Aaron Rodgers there, and maybe you should have the
Yeah.
offensive coordinator there, and hash out a game plan that's going to work. Something
Yeah.
that's going to Aaron's
Right.
comfortable with, the wide receivers are comfortable with. Yeah. So
Correct.
hearing that, I was kind of like, what? They weren't
Yeah.
doing that
Weird,
all along,
right?
especially with the young wide receivers. You can understand it
Mm,
with Devontae
veteran.
Adams. I
Yeah.
mean, they have they know what each other's
Mm-hmm.
doing before they're doing it. So they just
Exactly.
had a connection there. So I can
Yeah. Same with
understand
Jordy
that,
Nelson.
but
Yeah.
yes, Jordy Nelson,
I
Randall
mean,
Cobb.
yeah, they just
But
have that connection. These guys
yeah,
don't. They don't. they don't understand, right, that Aaron Rodgers throws to a spot. Like, okay, 1, 2, 3, drop. Here comes the ball. If you're not there, there's a problem, right? So I just thought that was really interesting. So let's get
Glad you
to our
brought it up,
main.
John. I'm glad you brought it up.
Yeah. So our main topic this week is yours and my favorite sports announcer. Well, no, he's not really. Colin Cowherd. So I said to Andy last week, when Andy and I were talking, we said we have two choices to Aaron Rodgers. One, just trade him, hopefully get a nice haul, move on, put Jordan Love there. Or go all in and do what we can to get him. So that is our topic of the week, because our favorite person again, Colin Cowherd, brought up that, hey, the Packers need to go all in with Aaron Rodgers. So one of the things, the reason I always get on Colin Cowherd is because, one, he never gets his facts straight. And Andy will bring this up, what I mean by that. He'll call different newspaper journalists that for the Packers a name that's not their name. Or he'll say we have
Yep.
players we don't have. And, just like
The wrong age for Aaron.
Yeah. There's a producer in the studio, which Andy and I do not have. We have
Nope.
our mics in our basement, and that's me and you, buddy. They have
Yeah,
producers
nobody's on
in
the payroll,
studio.
John.
Yeah, right.
Nobody's on the payroll.
Right.
Trust us on that.
Soon maybe we'll have that, right? Once we become
Yeah.
Cowherd
Yeah,
status.
someday. Yep.
Right.
Soon.
But he has all these assistants and fact checkers and producers and studio, and he goes, oh, this, that, and the other thing. So that's why it just drives me crazy. Like, hey, man, dude, like, when you're sitting there reading a copy, go, is that correct? And somebody should say, no, it's this. Oh, thank you. But he just blah, 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 just comes out with some stuff where you're like, what are you talking about? But Andy did share with me something about Colin Cowherd and going all in with Aaron Rodgers that kind of made sense. So, Andy, why don't you kind of bring some things up about that, about what Colin Cowherd said on his podcast, I believe.
Yep. So yeah, he said to go all in, and he's mentioned that before, but he's been a little bit wishy-washy with that, a little bit of waffling going on there. But the exact quote, I can read it off, and unless you want to. But basically, this is what Colin Cowherd said, and there's some pauses in between, and some I omitted, but these are his exact words. So, Miami's gonna beat Green Bay. The question now is, what's next for the Packers? This is Colin Cowherd talking.
Mm-hmm.
My solution is one that's going to make Green Bay very uncomfortable. The Packers need to go 100% all in on Aaron. Exact quote from him. So broken up a little bit. He was, talking. Can't say the exact, everything. So I'm going to basically use a popular Colin Cowherd segment where Colin was right, where Colin was wrong.
Yes.
So, So first, so where Colin was right.
Right.
Finally, Uncle Colin likes to call himself Uncle Colin because he's,
my
he's
God,
got all this wisdom. So finally, Uncle Colin, he makes some sense. John, we have talked about this ad nauseum on previous.
Yes, we have on this podcast.
Blitz podcast. Colin is actually right for once. The Packers do need to go 100% all in, 120% all in on Aaron Rodgers. He and this is Colin Cowherd talking a little bit. He said he does seem engaged. The Packers need to go more into the offense, and the league has pivoted to offense. He's right on these things.
He is right.
The Packers organization has prided itself on stability and looking toward the future. Another thing that Colin said. However, it's trapped in the present. Matt LaFleur and A-Rod's contract, big contracts for its best defensive player, Jari Alexander. I might have to dispute him on that one, that he's our best defensive player, but he does have a big cap number.
He made the Pro Bowl. He was the only one to make the Pro Bowl. First
Well, maybe he's right
So
on that one too. So, and
he's right on that
in
one.
then he
Yes, I'll
also
give it to
talked
him.
again about no, we don't have much cap space. So he said
Yeah,
the
no kidding.
solution, Colin said the solution is to give what A-Rod wants, give him what he wants for the next 2 years. And I have to admit, I think Colin's right on this.
Hmm.
Now, well, John, do you have anything to add on that? Colin was
Well,
right. Okay.
here's we've talked about this on on our past really 3 podcasts. That's all great. And you ran down the numbers again. He's getting 50 million, blah, 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 right? He's not going to
59.5.
walk away from that. If he walks
Nope.
away from that, me and you
Mm-mm.
will probably, flip out. But here's the thing with that is what I don't understand is if you're going to go all in, right? That means that you're going to have to make some tough decisions on other players because Aaron Jones is due 20 million bucks. All right. So now what do you do with Aaron Jones? Do you say, well, sorry, can't afford you? Well, that's a huge part of the offense. David Bakhtiari, I think he's due like 15 million. What do you say to him? Hey, David, sorry, buddy. It's time to go. See ya. Those are his is dead cap. So would be like 12 million dead cap. So you're still screwed. 20 million to Aaron Jones. Okay, I got what you're saying. But then you look at some of the other guys that are some contracts are due. Like I totally forgot Robert Tunyon. He's due this year too. I believe he is an unrestricted free agent. So now you go, okay, what are we going to give him? Because he's not going to take anything less than 10, 15 million a year. So now what cap room do you have to go all in? You don't. You basically have to say, I'm going to trade picks for players. And Goody will never do that. It's never going to happen. He will never say, I'll take the first and third and get some linebacker from Tennessee or from the 49ers. He's not going to do that. So now you're stuck. You're stuck with your draft picks. You're stuck with your salary cap. If you go to Aaron Jones and say, hey, buddy, we love you. Can you stay and we'll give you 15 million? He might say that. He might, he seems like a really quality guy. But let's be honest, Andy. If he can get his money, you go get that money because you have a short career. You're 28 years old. You have 4 more years left, maybe. And I have nothing against players going and getting their money. Hey, I get it. You're out of this league in your 20s, your 30s. You're done. And now you have a whole life in front of you. So I just don't see them going all in just for the sole fact of salary cap. Also, getting some quality players are going to be leaving, as well as Goody is not going to say, go to, like I said, Tennessee or 49ers or whoever. I just don't see that happening. So, any other thoughts on that?
Yeah, Colin's solution basically was draft a offensive tackle in the first round and draft I think it was a tight end in the second round. He was giving specific examples of for us,
Mhm.
who to draft. But I
Yeah.
mean, that is not a definite. That is never
No,
a
that
definite
is
when you're,
not at all.
you usually go. They have a lot of needs, so they're just going to pick the best player that's
Yeah,
going to fit
right.
fit a need. So,
Absolutely.
so that, and then he said they have to get some veterans that they're able to sign in free agency. Well, the problem is that
Yeah, we don't have cap room.
we don't have the money to do that. So
No,
they're going to have to
don't.
do. They're going to have to let some players go to get some players. So the
Yep.
question is, can they hit on those players?
Mhm.
They've done some really good job with free agents and whatnot.
Yeah.
Um, Keyshawn Nixon comes to mind over and over again. I love that guy. He's awesome. So,
Well,
but yeah,
before is Rasul Douglas, right? The year before is Rasul Douglas, and now
yeah,
it's Keyshawn Nixon, right? We're
yeah, and
paying these
Ford.
guys practically nothing, and we got
Yep,
them for off the scrap heap.
exactly. So a lot of things are going to have to go right.
Mm,
Um, but at
mhm.
least Colin was right.
Yeah, I'll give him
Go
that.
all
I'll
in.
give
I
you
think
that
that's
one. That's your Christmas gift, Colin.
right. Yeah. Well, now where Colin was wrong.
Yay, my
uh,
favorite
so
part.
so Colin, it's Jason Wilde not Jason Wild. Aaron Rodgers
Again, somebody
is
tell him that, right?
39 years of age. He just turned
Not
39. He's not 38.
unbelievable.
And then in the last few weeks, this is the one that really got me.
Mhm.
Colin has mentioned trade Jordan Love and get what you can for him. And then he's talking about trade Aaron Rodgers. He just did that like a day or two ago.
I
I
know,
think it's a
right?
couple days. Yesterday,
Yeah.
was where he was all in on Aaron Rodgers. But I think earlier in the week, it must have been Monday or on that past Friday. He's like, yeah, trade Aaron Rodgers, get a first and a fourth
Uh-huh.
round pick for him. And
Yep.
then in the same broadcast, he's like, oh, yeah, we can get a first, get a fourth, and maybe even a right tackle.
Oh my
And now it's go all
God.
in. I'm like,
Yeah, I know.
seriously,
Yeah,
you
come
know,
on, man.
yeah. Colin, can we please, stick with that last suggestion of going all in on A-Rod and stop pivoting and waffling every episode or every
I
other
know. I know.
episode? Come on, Colin. So
Yeah, come on.
that one really got me. And then the last one, so by the way, Uncle Colin, and he said this on his broadcast yesterday, I will
Shut up,
not,
Cooper.
and this is what Colin said, take off the cheese hat for 15 minutes. I won't do it. The Packers season is not over. The Packers still have a chance. We're going to win. We believe. So take that, Colin.
Yeah, take that,
He said
Colin.
he said that, and I quote, take off the cheese hat for 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Seriously, give me a
It's a
break.
cheese hat. Whatever. It's not a hat, you
Well,
moron.
he never really had a team. He doesn't believe in having a team, and so
Yeah.
he doesn't
Uh-huh.
understand,
I know.
It's like we
Well,
live and breathe Packers. We bleed
mhm.
Packers football.
Exactly.
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 Okay,
What
moving
people
on.
yeah, it's just what people don't understand. Our podcast is we're true fans who believe in the Packers, been watching them since we've been little kids. So it's like, hey, we know more than you, Colin. Trust me, you're just there to just get your money and go home. So next game review: Packers Dolphins on Christmas Day at noon. It's been a while since the Packers played on Christmas, at least that I think of, but I could be wrong on that. So this is my this is the shortest sweetie we're gonna get probably ever on this podcast. Here's my preview of the game, Andy. We have to win, period, and we have to win
Thank
every
you.
game. I know it's
Thanks, John.
insightful, but that's it. I'm done. On to you.
Yeah. Um, I I put in maybe a little bit more thought on it than you did, so I'm gonna rattle off some
Well,
things.
there you go.
Yeah, so we're playing the Miami Dolphins in Miami at noon on Fox on Christmas Day. And some of the key points I just wanted to, I'm a Packers fan, John's a Packers fan. We've got some Packer fans listening in. I just letting you guys know when Mason Crosby steps onto the field on Sunday, that would be not at Lambeau Field like I put on my computer.
I
That would
got you.
be, yeah, that would be on the steps on the field at Miami,
Miami, yeah.
whatever the name of the
Whatever they're
field
calling it
is.
nowadays.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
He will be making his 256th straight start for the Green Bay Packers, which
Woo!
breaks Brett Favre's bonkers franchise record of 255
Wow!
consecutive starts. So
Yay!
Mason Crosby has been selected, was selected by the Packers starting kicker. He's been, let me say this right. Mason Crosby has been the Packers starting kicker since 2007. Over his 16 seasons, he has scored almost 1,900 points and is 12th in NFL history with
Yeah.
that. So congratulations, Mason
Congratulations,
Crosby, and he's about to
Packer
break
Hall of Famer.
Favre's, yeah,
Definitely.
Packer Hall of Famer Brett Favre and future Packer Hall of Famer Mason Crosby, right?
Yes.
And then the
Love it.
second key point, I just wanted to say this because I just need to get it off my chest.
No, here we
Can
go. It's
all
time to get off your chest, Andy.
I just have to. It's been bottled
All
up
right, go.
for several weeks. So can all the beat writers and NFL insiders just stop it? David Bakhtiari, who is actually the 8th best tackle according to Pro Football Focus with a rating of 82.1, David will probably miss his 3rd consecutive game and 4th week of football. These professionals keep bringing up the possibility that he's playing every single week. Stop it. Stop it. He had major surgery in early December, and he could have died. He actually said this.
Mhm.
50,000 Americans died in 2015 from burst appendixes.
Whoa.
He could have died on the field against the Bears on December 4th.
Oh my gosh. Didn't know
David
that.
was told by doctors, and this was just a day or two before, his appendix was about to burst and was leaking.
Ooh,
Ick.
yikes.
Ick.
Yeah, ick.
But every single week,
Yeah.
here we go again.
He's gonna
Is
play,
he in?
Andy. Come on. What are you
Is
talking
he
about?
out?
Come on, he's in.
Please stop it. David
He's
Bakhtiari
in.
even admitted it himself a few weeks ago. He basically said, yeah, during the surgery, the doctors had to make 2 deep incisions in my belly button and to the
Ooh.
right of it.
Yikes.
Nobody is playing football with 2 big holes in their gut. Certainly
Come
not
on, rub
4
some
weeks
dirt
ago.
on it. Get in there.
Certainly not 3 weeks ago. Certainly not
Jeez.
2 weeks
Come
ago, and
on.
probably not this week
A
either.
pussy.
Yes, fans, let me put this to rest. I had an appendectomy. My father had one, and my brother had one. You're out of commission for easily 4 to 6 weeks. David is, I repeat this, is not playing pro football anytime soon.
Are you sure about that?
Positive.
Okay.
I'm absolutely positive. So, okay, so sorry for the rant. The Dolphins Packers contest, according to Yahoo Sports, and this is Yahoo Sports speaking, despite winning 4 of their last 5 meetings, the Packers are 5-10 all time against the Dolphins.
Yeah,
It
that's
is
Dan
Green Bay's
Marino years.
worst record against any
Whatever.
active franchise.
Yeah, but that was Dan Marino years in the 80s. We remember that, where Dan Marino would just freaking light us up because we'd,
Yep. Well, we have won the last 4 out of 5, but we're otherwise we're 5-10. So in order to turn around that and secure a win, the Packers need to somehow outscore and limit a potent Dolphins offense.
Yeah.
No duh. They have one of the best
kidding.
offenses in the National Football League.
Yeah, so what do we have to do?
To do that, they need to do the following. And this is what they need to do. On offense, the Packers offense, they have to be able to control the clock and run the ball to keep it away from Miami's offense. They also have to continue to get the ball to their rookie wide receivers, Romeo Doubs and Christian Watson, by any means necessary.
Yeah, right.
That means end arounds, quick outs, whatever.
Absolutely.
Wide receiver screens, whatever. Get the ball to those guys. And then lastly, they need to make the most of their red zone opportunities. So just a little tidbit here again. The Miami D is only allowing 15.3 points a game at home versus 31.5 points away from home. So at home, they're much, much better for some reason. Have no clue why, but just to let you guys know. So so Rodgers said something to the effect that we need to score at least 30 points as an offense to win these upcoming games. And that's going to be especially true of this game. So that leads me into the next thing, which is the Packers defense. So Rodgers is saying we need to score 30 points. We probably do to beat these guys on Sunday. So on defense, the Packers defense, they have to find a way to limit the wide receivers for Miami. You've got Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill. And you need to do this by taking away the middle of the field and playing man-to-man press coverage on those two. By being aggressive at the line of scrimmage and bumping them every single play within 5 yards of scrimmage.
Yeah,
This
absolutely.
worked. It worked wonderfully. Wonderfully. I watched the game with the LA Chargers. That's exactly
Oh,
what they
right,
did.
right. Yeah, Chargers. Yeah, I saw that.
Who was it? The the Buffalo Bills
Yeah, yeah,
did not. For some reason, you got
yeah,
McDermott. He's a great defensive coach. They didn't do that,
yeah.
and they got chewed
Mhm.
up.
Yeah, they
So
did.
they need to do that. So
Right.
our defense, the Packers defense, is horrible at defending the middle of the field, and the
Yes.
Dolphins offense will try to attack it.
Oh,
This
yeah.
is where Tua likes to throw the ball. This is
Yeah.
where they run a lot of the routes, is to the middle of
Mhm.
the field to get chunk
Yes, they do.
plays.
Yeah.
So the Packers D needs to play up and on the line and knock
Mm.
those receivers off the routes.
Oh,
That
boy.
means that Joe Barry, that's a future episode, by the way.
Yeah, we're gonna
That
talk about
means that
him.
Joe Barry, our defensive coordinator, needs to devise a defensive scheme in the
Mm.
secondary to concentrate its defenders in the middle of the field and play more man-to-man
Yeah.
with the corners and keep the safeties back to
Mhm.
prevent big plays.
You're
Of
right.
course, that's easier said than done, John.
Yeah, it's a lot easier said than done, right?
Yeah. So Tyreek Hill, he's a potential MVP candidate. I know he's a wide receiver. They always give it to quarterbacks, but he actually is a potential MVP
Yeah.
candidate. He already has 109 receptions, 1,529 receiving yards, and 7 touchdowns in 2022. So he's having an awesome season, for the Dolphins. And a lot of people thought he was going to not do so hot with Miami
Mm.
because of who was
Yeah.
getting him to the ball, who is Tua Tagovailoa. And hopefully I'm
Yeah.
pronouncing that name right, but I think I
Yeah,
is.
you're good.
I am. I
Yeah.
is. So he's
I
having
is.
a fine season and is averaging 269.8 yards per game, about a 65% completion rate with 24 touchdowns and only 5 picks, 5
Mm.
interceptions. All those stats are better, I hate to say it, than 2020, the 2020 and 2021 MVP Aaron Rodgers. So his
Yeah.
numbers in all those categories are better. His
Yeah, I get you.
Rodgers' completion rate is like just a smidge above him, but they're pretty much on par with
Yeah,
that.
they're
So,
pretty much.
but Tua does have more TD passes and has less
Yeah.
interceptions. He has,
Mhm.
I believe, 6 less now because I think Rodgers has, what does he have, 10 or 11? One of the two.
I
But
thought he had 11, but
okay,
either way. Yeah.
right.
Double digits.
So typically at home, Tua doesn't put up big numbers at home, primarily because he doesn't have to, because the Miami D has been so good.
Mhm.
And plus, I see
Yeah.
them running a lot with Jeff Wilson's coming back from injury this week, and
Oh,
Raheem
boy.
Mostert playing so
Yeah.
well. And remember this, John's probably going to freak out because of all the bad memories. Both are former San Francisco running backs, and Packers fans all know,
Oh,
including John, all too well
man.
what happened in the playoff game last year against San Francisco.
Yeah.
Mostert is a problem.
Yes, he is.
He's a hard runner up the middle with lots of power, yet has blazing world-class 4.2, 4.3 speed to get to the outside edge. If Miami
Yeah.
is smart, which they are, they'll do
Yeah,
a
Mike
lot
McDaniel's good.
of pitching to the outside to get Mostert around the corner. Mike
Yeah.
McDaniel, former San Francisco offensive coordinator and
Yeah.
Miami's new head coach, knows Green Bay's Achilles heel is its
Yeah.
run D, and
Yes, he does.
expect him, because he's smart, very smart,
Mhm.
expect him to exploit that. So John, hopefully the Packers, on offense, defense, we're victorious on Sunday, and we'll keep our slim playoff hopes alive for the holidays.
Yeah.
Any
Thank
thoughts?
you, Andy. Yeah,
I
thank
know
you,
that was a
Andy.
mouthful, John.
Yeah, that was a lot there.
Yeah,
Thanks for
I know.
that. No, that's great stuff. One of the things is to remember is this is a game that comes down to who wants it more, right? That's what it comes down to, Andy. You can have the greatest intentions. We're going to run right down your throat. But the Packers say, no, you're not, and stand their ground. You're not going to. And this is the game where, they have to go in and say, Yeah, this is a playoff game. Cliche as hell, every game is a playoff game from here on out. So you have to win. So the thing is, like you said, you got to have a running game on Sunday. You got to get it out to your receivers. You just have to just impose your will on Miami, which I think you can do because guys like Tyreek Hill, fast as hell, but you smack him around, just like Tua, you start smacking him around, they really have issues. And a couple of games I've seen like that where Tua was beat up, and near the end there, you could see he was just on gas, on fumes, and just be like, "Hey, I'm just trying to get through this game." And he didn't want to be there because when he played at Alabama and played earlier on, when people started smacking him around, he kind of goes in a shell. So that's one thing we have to do. We'll see what Joe Barry does. He is on a short leash, as we know already, and that's a topic we'll talk about. So that is right now. Oh, before I forget, one things I want to say, I want to do a shout out to all the California people listening to us and the Philadelphia people listening to us. Thank you for listening to us. We have people in Romania listening to us. We're international, Andy. So thank you again for everyone who listens to us and really helps this. Really, it's a homegrown show, which Andy and I love doing because we're two Packer fans that get to vent about our Packers, but also have fun at it and not take it so seriously. So the more you guys listen and really help us out, we don't have a big budget, like I said, like Colin Cowherd and all that stuff. It's just me and Andy on a mic in a room and just kind of talking about things. So, Andy, if you want to end the show, that'd be great.
Well, before I do that, John, just want to add one thing.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. The Packers need this game, and Miami needs this game too. So it's going to be like a playoff type atmosphere. It should be
Yeah, it's going to
fun,
be.
and it's going to be fun to watch football, even though it's on Christmas. It's going to be fun to watch that, and I hope John, you have a very Merry Christmas too.
You as well. Merry
And
Christmas.
and then I want to thank all of you out there so much for listening to Packers Blitz. And let's keep our playoff hopes alive.
Yeah.
So again, Merry Christmas, John, and happy holidays to everybody and to their families out there.
Yes, I couldn't have said it better. Merry Christmas, happy holidays, happy Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, whatever. We love you, Packer fans. Remember, tell your friends, hit subscribe. Eventually, when Andy and I gets a little more shows, we're going to have email out there so you guys can send emails in and tell us where we were right and where we were wrong. So, Andy, I love you, buddy. Great show. Merry Christmas, happy holidays.